guys, it's the RetrofloraPodcast. I'm Brenda.
And I'm Charmy, and we're two crazy sisters with an opinion and a channel.
If you like true crime, conspiracy, and supernatural crap, well, this is your channel.
It's spooky season!
Spooky season, woo woo! My favorite time of the year. So I've been watching some horror movies. I watched, what's Dark Harvest, which I actually thought was pretty good. I would give it a 7. Then I watched, Room 1408, which I also liked, and I would give that.
Isn't that with Samuel Jackson?
Well, I mean, he's in it, but it's not really. He's like a side
and
character.
That white actor, I can't think of.
John Cusack, I think.
Oh, he's a Cusack? There's a whole family of Cusack actors.
I think that's who it was. It was pretty good. And then I watched. What did I watch?
I just been watching Orphan Black.
What did I watch yesterday?
It's on Netflix, y'all.
Oh, I watched You're Next yesterday, and I liked that. Yeah, I definitely like that. I'd give that like an 8 out of 10. I definitely like that. And then today I watched 2 movies that I would give 1s. Okay, well I would give 1 a 4 and then 1 a 1. I watched Day of the Dead, and I'm definitely, if I could give it a 0, I would give it a 0 because like, why were the zombies shooting the guns? Why were the zombies like
crawling up the ceiling?
Why were the zombies driving cars? Why was one of the zombies, because he was a vegetarian before he turned, did not want to eat them, and then was in love with the main character, and then attacked one of the zombies. And also, one of the zombies was the scientist, and he was smart, and because he was smart, he was able to dodge the bullets when they were shooting at him.
Smart doesn't make you dodge
I know,
bullets.
I was just like, this
Don't
movie,
become Neo.
This movie is pissing me off, like, so much. So, 0 stars for that if I could do it, but because I have to pick one, I pick a 1 star. Then I watched Drag Me to Hell. And I watched that as a teenager and I thought it was funny, and I just rewatched it and I was like, this movie is terrible, and I can't.
I kind of feel like she shouldn't have been dragged to hell.
I feel like she shouldn't have been dragged to hell too. I feel like that was excessive.
Yeah, she messed up, but like ain't that
not that bad. Like you couldn't just like curse her so she couldn't like
she murdered somebody.
She could have just lost her job or something like that. Maybe lose her house. Like I don't understand why she needs to be dragged to hell, but
Thinner.
I do want to watch the movie Thinner, so that's on my list.
And Slither.
I don't want to watch that movie.
You know what movie I will never watch again? Dreamcatchers.
Yeah, something about aliens coming out of my butt.
That
really is not.
It's not for me. Phobia.
Right, I did not want to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so today's gonna be some horror stories I found on Reddit.
What's it called? Creepy Reddit thread.
The No Sleep, and then I think one is from the Creepypasta thread.
Well, without further ado, let's get into this.
This comes from the No Sleep Reddit, and it's 11 days ago, and it's 11 velociraptors, and it's titled "My Neighbor's Front Door Has Been Wide Open for 2 days."
Really long titles on these.
Since it was a sunny Friday afternoon, I didn't think much of it. It was 5:30 and I had just returned home from work when I saw that my neighbor's front door was open. I assumed that she was simply unloading something from her car. I went inside my own house and went through my usual after work routine, going for a run, and then making dinner for my wife, Alice, and me. It was only in the evening that I began to suspect something was wrong. I was taking our dog, Bailey, out for her final walk of the day. It was a nautical twilight, my favorite time to be outdoors. I've always enjoyed strolling around the block with Bailey in those last precious moments when there was still enough light to see the horizon. I put Bailey's harness on her as she excitedly hopped around. Then the two of us stepped out into the cool air. After a few seconds, I looked up and noticed that the door to my neighbor's house, the one directly across the street, was still wide open. Also strange was the fact that despite her car being in the driveway, the house was completely dark, not a single light on inside. I crossed the street. My neighbor is a 20-something-year-old named Isabella. She seems like a sweet girl, but we aren't exactly good friends. Sometimes I give her lemons from our tree in exchange for figs, and that's pretty much the extent of our relationship. Still, the sight of that open door made me uneasy. What if she had some kind of medical emergency and was currently unconscious or worse on the floor of her entryway? After a few steps up the driveway, the leash in my hand went taut. Looking down, I saw that Bailey had seated herself firmly on the ground, refusing to budge even as I called her name and tugged on her leash. Her ears were pricked up, her eyes fixated on the house like she was waiting for something. Though she wasn't growling, I was unnerved by her alert posture and her refusal to walk any closer to the door. I let my voice close the distance between us and my neighbor's threshold. "Isabella, it's Brian from across the street. Can you hear me?" For a moment, there was only silence. Then, just as I was about to drop Bailey's leash and walk up the steps to the house, There came a voice from the dark. "Hey, Brian," she said, before coughing once and then clearing her throat. "Sorry, I'm in the middle of dinner here. What's up?" I breathed a sigh of relief. "Hey, sorry, I just saw that your front door was open. Wanted to make sure you knew." Strangely, there came another long pause. I knew she was inside the house now and close enough to the door to hold conversation with me. So, what was the delay? "Isabella? Oh, you're so sweet to check in. Yes, I know it's open. It's just been so hot today. I wanted to let a breeze in. I'll close it soon." "Oh, of course. Have a good night then. You too." With that, I tugged Bailey back down the driveway, and the two of us completed our walk. I returned home, happy that my neighbor was alright, and went to sleep. Saturday was a much-needed lazy day. I woke up at 10, ate the breakfast that Alice made me, then spent some time in the backyard with her and Bailey. It was an overcast day, and by 3 p.m. or so, a light rainfall forced us back inside. Alice took a call from her sister who lives at the edge of our neighborhood, while I went to the living room to throw on some television. Before I could get comfortable, I looked out the front window and surprised to see that Isabella's front door was open again. Open again? I wondered, or was it never shut? I got up to the window and studied the house across the street. The rain was coming down harder by then, and the thick gray clouds overhead made it seem like nighttime. Despite this, there was a single light on the inside of Isabella's house. It was so dark inside that the entrance to her house seemed less like a door and more like a black painted rectangle on the exterior wall. I turned to look at Bailey, who was lying on a nearby couch, and saw that she was also looking out the window, ears pressed against her head. She glanced at me briefly, then refocused her attention outside. I couldn't tell if she was simply people watching or if somehow she could sense something wrong. Just then, Alice walked into the living room. She was no longer on the phone and greeted me with a strange, almost nervous smile. "That was an odd conversation," she said, taking a seat next to Bailey. "Everything all right?" "I don't know. Clara saw a woman peeking in her house a few nights ago." "What? Creepy, right? And she's not the only one. Apparently there have been a few reports on her side of town. Other people experiencing the same thing. Nothing stolen and no one hurt. At least that's what Clara knows of. But it's still pretty weird. Let's make sure we lock up extra well tonight." My thoughts drifted to my neighbor. I asked my wife what this woman looked like. Like I said, Isabella and I weren't close, but I knew she had recently gone through a difficult breakup with a long-term boyfriend. It was far-fetched to assume connection between Isabella and the mysterious woman, but who knows? Heartbreak can make people do some crazy things. Maybe there was some kind of link between the two. Alice hesitated for a minute. "Well," she said eventually, "you know Clara, she's got a real superstitious way about her. She's always telling stories." "What does that mean?" "It means you've got to take this with a grain of salt." Then Alice relayed Clara's description of the woman. I felt a chill run down my spine. Clara said that the woman was tall and gaunt, enough so that she originally mistook her for a man. She said that her skin looked tight across her face, and that her eyes looked unnaturally deep set, as though they were too far back in her skull. Apparently, when she saw that Clara had spotted her, she gave Clara a big smile before retreating into the night.
So it looks like the other mother from Coraline.
I guess so. Apparently, when she smiled, she had too many teeth.
How do you count the teeth?
I don't know. That's weird. I was silent for a moment, unsure what to make of Clara's morbid sighting. "Love, was Isabella's front door open this morning?" She considered my question as she pet Bailey. "I think it was. If nothing else, I figured I could at least tell Isabella to be careful." I put on my raincoat and headed outside, carefully making my way down the wet driveway. I would have called Isabella. Once I made it to the sidewalk, I heard frantic barking coming from behind me. Turning around, I saw Bailey in the window, her paws resting on the sill, her growls and whimpers rising over the heavy rain. My wife appeared next to her a few seconds later. She attempted unsuccessfully to comfort Bailey, giving me a questioning look as she did so. I gave her a shrug in return, then crossed the street. I stopped at the bottom of Isabella's porch steps and listened. Like before, I heard someone inside, though I couldn't tell exactly what was going on. I heard a deep, wet, rippling sound, like something was being torn. Also, like before, I couldn't see a thing inside the house. A voice called out from the dark interior. "Brian." "Hello again," I said, only wondering in retrospect how she could have known it was me. "Sorry to bother you, but I wanted to tell you something. Would you mind coming out for a minute?" "Brian," she repeated, tone almost reprimanding. "This isn't a good time. You always seem to catch me in the middle of a meal." "It won't take long," I tried persuading. When she didn't respond, I climbed up a few steps. Oh no. I would not be climbing.
She is the other mother.
No steps.
Or she's Jennifer from Jennifer's Body.
Isabella, there's been some suspicious activity around the neighborhood recently. I know you like to keep the door open for the breeze, but maybe you ought to keep it shut today. It's so comfortable here on the couch. Why don't you close the door for me? The couch? Wasn't she in the middle of a meal? Even if she were
She
eating...
can eat on the couch?
Well, that's what I was about to say. Even if she were eating on a couch, her voice sounded so close, like she could have been more than a few feet away from me. Why was she hiding behind the door? I climbed up the rest of the steps, trying to recall the inside of her house from the 2 or 3 times I've been inside. I knew that the room immediately to the left of the entryway was the living room, and most likely where Isabella was supposedly sitting. I also knew that there was a light switch right next to the front door. What the H, I thought. I'll just go inside for a minute.
You're stupid.
Say hello and then shut the door for her. It'll give me some peace of mind to actually see her instead of hearing her voice. This is giving fleshy boy. This is giving S-dub.
He's just saying all the other words but the name.
Yeah, no, for real. I glanced over my shoulder towards my own house. Bailey was still barking her head off, which was unnerving. But the sight of Alice keeping an eye on me gave me some peace of mind. It was just a house, I told myself. Just a normal house with my neighbor inside of it.
Yeah, Allison can see you get killed.
If my dog is barking its head off from across the street, I would not be entering the house. I'd be like, oh, Isabella, I'm gonna call the police.
Just like the dog from The Conjuring that was trying to warn the family about the haunted house they just bought.
Yeah, no, this dog is definitely warning. Taking a deep breath, I stood at the threshold, shocked at how, despite my closeness, the inside of the house remained pitch black. I thrust a hand inside and it disappeared like I dipped it in oil. Oh no. As I groped around for the light switch, my fingers brushed against something solid, something fleshy. I jerked my hand back, certain that I had touched a person. Isabella? I asked the darkness, and then
don't leave.
No, for real. From inches away came a sound of laughter. Oh, no. No. The laugh was so deep, graveling and mocking, and it did not resemble my neighbor's voice in the slightest. Before I could react, I heard the quick pitter-patter of footsteps against the wood. It grew quieter and quieter, and then I realized it was the sound of someone running away from me. After a few seconds, I thought I heard a door open and shut in the distance. The back door, perhaps?
You can just leave.
Yeah, I would just leave. Again, I stuck my arm inside, and this time I was able to find the light switch. This person has not watched horror movies. I turned on the light and was relieved when the interior of the house revealed itself to me. A normal entryway with a normal coat rack and a normal shoe rack. No eerie intruders in sight. However, the relief was short-lived, because when I stepped inside the house, I turned to the left, walked into the living room, and was greeted by the sight of my neighbor. Or at least what was left of her.
He's so stupid.
She was splayed out on top of her couch, her head lolled off the side, her empty eye sockets and toothless, wide open mouth looked like 3 holes that had been dug into her face. What the I'm sorry, that's crazy. Her face itself was red, not as I initially thought, because it was covered in blood, but because it was missing its skin. She had been flayed. Not only her face, but her arms and the top of her torso. It looked like someone had methodically working their way down her body until I had interrupted them. Paralyzed by fear and confusion, I stood in place. Sir!
Run.
Right. I waited to wake up from a nightmare. I waited for Isabella to walk in an adjoining room and tell me I was looking at a Halloween prop. I waited for a dangerously long time, and then I staggered out into the rain. No.
It was raining?
Yeah, that's why he went to go tell her. Well, he went to tell her about the neighborhood, but also that her door was opened.
You would think if the skin was... Oh, sorry. The oogie boogie.
Fleshy boys, S-dubs.
If they didn't want to get caught, they would close the door.
When I returned home, I immediately called the police. Though I had... Sorry.
Now he's going to go to jail for a crime he didn't commit.
I doubt that, because they would have to find a weapon to prove that he did that.
No, they'll just frame him and say he did it.
When I returned home, I immediately called the police, though I had trouble putting what I had seen into words. They arrived quickly, took me and Alice's statements, and then went across the street to investigate. It has been days now, and they haven't told me anything, despite my repeated calls to the station. I can't get answers. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I just keep replaying that discovery over and over in my mind's eye. The voice, the feeling of brushing against the body in the dark, and of course the sight of the poor girl's mangled corpse. I have too many questions to count, but 3 arise from above the rest. Who the hell was I talking to? Why did they sound so perfectly like my neighbor? Wait, that was only 2 questions. Oh, wait, this is the last one. And why is it that every single night I found the body, Bailey hasn't stopped sitting by the front door and growling?
I say we get a stick of dynamite and just blow up the entire house.
I say we move.
We don't blow it up and then move away.
What's your sister's house looking like? Because we gonna live there for a little bit until we find another place.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's also crazy that no cops came after the first cops didn't say anything.
I think that the cops know more than what they're letting on. Because, like, why would you not mention... Like, why would you not say anything about that?
I think they got killed.
You think the cops did?
Yeah, I think I was about to say it again. The enemy.
The stuff.
Ate them. And then became cops and took over the entire force.
Okay, I actually made a mistake. They're actually both from the No Sleep Reddit thread. I don't know why I thought one was from the Creepypasta thread.
Well, I'm going to sleep good tonight because I'm going to take allergy medicine and go to sleep.
What?
My allergies are acting up.
Oh. So this is from the No Sleep Reddit thread, and it was posted 20 days ago. But it would be funny if it was 28 days ago.
I thought you said 2018.
And it's by Blair Daniels. And it says, I went to a wedding and the groom wouldn't stop smiling.
Finally a normal name for the author.
But not a normal story. I went to my cousin Ava's wedding for a few days. I'm still processing what happened. I'll try to get everything out as best as I can. Ava has been dating this guy named Ethan for the past year. Being in their 30s, they sort of fast-tracked the whole marriage thing. I'd never met the guy and hadn't spoken to Ava in a few years, but what the heck. It was guaranteed to be fun. The groom walked down the aisle first, a tall, pale man in a dark suit. He stood at the front of the church and smiled. He smiled when Ava walked down the aisle. He smiled as they kissed. What?
Isn't he supposed to?
I mean, like, was he smiling during the kissing?
Because
that's difficult.
Would she describe the smile? Like, is it a creepy smile or a normal smile?
Smiled when they kissed after being pronounced husband and wife. He smiled as they walked out of the church. It didn't strike me as weird until we got to the reception. Then he entered. He was still grinning that wide grin with his perfectly white straight teeth. But up close, it looked, I don't know, wrong somehow. He wasn't really engaging with guests. He wasn't talking or laughing. He was just sort of scanning the place, staring, grinning wide without really reaching his eyes. I guess he's smiling for the cameras, I told myself. Or maybe he's a little socially awkward.
Maybe he's high.
That's a long high.
And he's just like, act normal, act normal.
And he figured nothing will go wrong if he just keeps smiling. It got really weird, however, when they served dinner. I watched him sitting at the sweetheart table with Ava, shoving chicken piccata in his mouth as he still grinned. I'm sorry,
Wait, how is he chewing? Wait, is it like, because you say smile, is his teeth closed or open? Because how are you shoving it in his mouth?
Well, it says barely opening his mouth wide enough to get the bite, immediately closing, making loud chewing noises as he chewed while grinning.
You know what? Maybe Ava did something to him.
Have you ever seen someone chew their food while grinning? It's completely unnatural looking. Smile with your mouth closed, sure, but showing all your teeth grinning as you chew? It was so weird. They eventually came to our table to say hi. I couldn't tear my eyes away from his face. He was still grinning. His wide blue eyes were jittering from person to person at the table. His face looked like a mask. There was no warmth. It was like looking at a statue.
I know you don't watch this manga or anime, sorry, but it's called To Be Hero X, and there's a superhero named Smile, and he can only activate his power when he smiles, so he's constantly smiling that his face is stuck like that. But he's cool. He's not weird like this guy.
I whispered this to my sister once they left. There's something seriously wrong with him. Why is he smiling like that? My sister thought I was being a catty old maid. Well, old mister. Shut up, he looks fine. No, he doesn't. He looks like he's madly in love, she snapped back. Stop being jealous. Jeez, Matt. That hurt. It honestly did. None of these guests seemed to think anything was wrong. They thought it was all fine. Him grinning through the first dance, through the speeches, through the effing champagne toast. He tilted the champagne flute into his grinning mouth without spilling a drop somehow.
Okay.
Sorry, all I could think of is him going like,
yeah, that's
like
creepy.
just dumping the champagne in his mouth, but his teeth still being closed. Like,
this is so weird. I excused myself to go to the restroom, but that was my first mistake, not realizing he had disappeared from the dance floor.
I leave. Just leave. Just get an Uber and leave.
As I was washing my hand, a stall door swung open behind me. In the mirror over my shoulder, I saw Ethan standing there. His skin looked milky white in the bright lights. His blue, bulgy frog eyes stared at me.
Hey, you gotta talk to him like that.
And he was smiling.
I didn't mean that he saw me and smiled. No, he opened the stall door and was already smiling. Ew, he smiled while the toilet was flushing and all those particles are flying everywhere. He walked over and began washing his hands at the sink right next to me. Even though there were 3 other sinks, our shoulders bumped. Sir, first of all, I don't like when people like
I know you
are that close to me. So like,
space.
Why are you washing your hands next to me?
I leave. Just leave.
Great wedding, I mumbled, trying to be friendly. He turned and looked down at me, slowly.
You see that tall?
I'm assuming so.
And you that short.
His blue eyes bored into mine. Then my heart began to pound. Music's great too, I said nervously to fill the silence. He just stared at me. That's when I realized he hadn't said a single word this entire wedding.
Can you say I do?
It says, there were no vows. He just nodded when the officiant asked if he took Ava as his bride. He didn't thank the best man after the speech, and I hadn't seen him talking to Ava at the sweetheart table, just smiling and staring. I backed away. Why is she not freaking out about this?
Well, I want to know did they do something to him?
His eyes tracked me as I went. Just as I reached the bathroom door, he stretched up to his full height and stared down at me.
So what height was he at before?
Right, sir, what? He was already looking down at you.
I don't know, like, he just got Mr. Fantastic and got longer. Like, I don't
It makes you think of the other mother from Coraline when she started stretching.
Like,
yeah.
What was your true height? Like, was he on his knees washing his hands?
Girl,
I don't understand.
He looked even taller than he had in the reception hall, somehow under the fluorescent lights. Then he stopped smiling. Oh no, I think I think the stop smiling is worse. Like, as his face relaxed, his cheeks sagged, his forehead drooped, the skin on his face began to shift and slide. I froze as his face began to pull and separate from his skull. He grinned.
You're still looking at him?
Right.
So you stopped smiling?
Scooby-Doo'd my way through the door. Like,
wait, so you stopped smiling for a second just to smile again?
He grinned, and everything stretched back into place. I finally leaped into action and darted out the bathroom door. It took you long enough?
Honestly, though, that could just be from an after effect of smiling all the time. Maybe your face just gets like stretches out.
I don't know, but smiling brought it back together. I went back to my sister and grabbed her arm. We have to get out of here, I breathed. Ethan, will you shut up already, she said, barely even looking at me. And then Ethan soldered in, his long legs taking him smoothly across the dance floor. He slowed as he passed our table on his way back to Ava.
Forget Ava. Ride her out the wheel and give me all the money.
He reached out and squeezed my shoulder. It's been 3 days. The skin on my shoulder is pulsing with pain, like it's infected somehow, and I can't help but notice every time I look in the mirror. My face looks a little saggier, a little loose, like it's not quite attached the same way anymore. So I've started to smile more, just to hold everything in place.
Just get a plastic surgeon. I don't understand.
Somebody in the comments said I think you should go to a priest or an exorcist.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. What the heck is wrong with this dude? Like, why is his face sagging?
Like, I don't know. I feel like they did something to him. I also feel like he just could be evil.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, even if they did something to him, like, that's
the
main character's family. So, like,
maybe they're like in Hereditary, a bunch of witches. He don't know.
Maybe, because I'm just curious why nobody else at the wedding thought it was cute, like weird, like he was just smiling. He didn't say not one word. Well, yeah, those are the stories I have.
I don't know. I feel like the first one was scarier.
The first one definitely was scarier because now I'm going to go take a shower and I'm not going to look out the window because I don't want to see this lady looking at me or whatever that thing was.
Yeah, it was a fleshy boy.
It was an S-dub, y'all.
Hey, the second one could also be a fleshy boy.
Right. I don't know what's going. Well, I don't know because now he's turning into it. Like he's got a smile. His skin is pulling away from his face. It's crazy. Like I don't.
Plastic surgeon.
Well, you've made it to the end.
You must really like the sounds of our high-pitched voices and quirky commentary.
You might as well like and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to be notified every time we drop new content. If you want to follow our social medias, they will be linked in the description box below.
Bye!
Bye, you guys. And if your neighbor's door is open and they ain't coming to close it, just mind your business.
Do we sound like Valley girls? I'm just curious.
We're from California. We can't help it.
You know, we're not from the Valley.